Well, hello, no. Welcome to Gavin Games for Thursday. Holy camole, Thursday, February, whatever you want to call it, February 3rd? Yeah, fuck, man, who knows? Max Ankar says, the thing with the metaverse you gotta understand, Jaffe, is this. You agree for them to record all your interactions. If there was abuse like what she says, they can go back and see what was going on and ban those fuckers. You goddamn right, Maxwell. How are you, good sir? All right, fellas, we got a lot to talk about. I don't know if you joined us earlier for the Ghostwire Tokyo visual showcase, I guess is what they were calling it over on the PlayStation. You know, I mean, yeah, it was cool. My jury is still out at this point on that particular video game. I was very excited going in. I like the developer a great deal. I love the monster creation. I love what it's about. But coming back out of that show, it just felt kind of, for a title that's basically a month away, like 5 weeks away or so, they're not really lifting their skirt up too much. One could argue they didn't do that with Deathloop either, and look what happened there. It's not a bad point. You know, Deathloop is the same marketing arm that's doing Ghostwire. So maybe they're just like, that worked for us then. But if you watch the trailer today and the gameplay demo, you would have thought they would have given you a longer sense of gameplay, a longer sense of like, this is what this fucking title is. But instead, it was just some combat sections, which looked, you know, kind of cool, but it was nothing that blew my fucking mind. So we'll see what happens. But anyway, that was happening today. That made us a little bit late. I apologize for that, as well as being addicted to Bloodborne. Let me tell you something, man. As a guy who, I mean, I even from the first time I played Bloodborne, I said I love this world. I wish I loved the game because it was too fucking hard for me. But since I have gotten help from this stream and I have figured out some of the things that game stupidly makes hidden, or certainly doesn't go out of its way to help the player, I have absolutely fallen hook, line, and sinker, head over heels in love with that game. So it is one of the first games in a while that we have, or that I have played, that really has me jonesing every minute I get back to the controller and keep playing. Cab says, well, look, man, we haven't seen God of War Ragnarok gameplay, have we? Yeah, okay, but you have seen the previous God of War, right? And you have actually seen, I think they did show Ragnarok gameplay. I don't think they showed like full-on boss battles and stuff, and they also don't have a release date. It's not coming next month. But you have absolutely seen gameplay from God of War Ragnarok, absolutely. Jaffe, Bacon wants to know, what are my thoughts on the black guy who sat beside Frost and supported her during her rant on sexism, being exposed in clips for saying sexist stuff and homophobic stuff? Well, what thoughts do you need other than he sounds like a hypocrite? And I hope he's being called out on it, because unless this was like something that he did 10 years ago, and you know, look, man, people change, people grow. If you go back to when I was 12 years old, was I walking around the neighborhood saying the F word? Yeah, I was. I never said the N word because I've never been racist, but it never occurred to me that the F word was offensive. That's where we were back in 1983. All right, so, you know, there you go. No, Onion Knight, I did not beat the blood-starved beast yet in Bloodborne. I'm just grinding my character up so I can have a better opportunity to take him down the next time I see his ugly fucking face. Dennis Lamov, thank you, buddy, for those rubies. I know they're from Russia. I don't know if they're... I always get their currency and the Legend of Zelda and India's currency mixed up. Regardless, I appreciate you being here, and I very much appreciate you supporting the stream with your generous donation. Let's see what he has to say. Dennis says, Jaffe, look, I'm downloading Dying Light 2 right now. Most waited for game for me for the last few years. I don't give a fuck about critics. PC Master Race. Well, like I said yesterday, Dennis, I'm not uninterested in Dying Light 2. I'm interested, but I'm going to wait for the version that has all the bugs fixed and has all the little issues addressed that like they addressed in Dying Light 1. And then I'm eager to play it. In fact, that's going to give me time to go back and play the first Dying Light, which I haven't really spent much time. Bacon says those clips of the guy sitting next to Frost were actually recent, where he revealed himself to be able to express racist, homophobic thoughts without any kind of regret. So yeah, then I think he's a hypocrite, and I think he needs to be called out on it. Quarsma of the Quebecian Quarsmas, he says, Jeffy, what are your thoughts on the BLOOBORNE Demake? Is Sony missing the boat? We're going to talk about that. Fuck it. Let's talk about it right now, my good Sir Quars. I was going to do some... We'll jump to this story, then we'll jump back. So everybody knows, for the most part, that this is out. This came out yesterday. Think about this for a minute, though. This game comes out yesterday, not sells, I think it's free. It has to be free, otherwise you'd get a copyright strike or they'd be pulled down. 100,000 downloads in less than a day. This is BLOOBORNE PS4 exclusive for now. Wink. I don't know anything. BLOOBORNE PS4 exclusive for now. Somebody went off and they didn't make the whole game, but they made a portion of the game in Unreal 4. And let me show it to you while we're talking about it, because I'm only now able to really appreciate this. Before I was playing, BLOOBORNE, recently I was like, okay, I know what BLOOBORNE is, whatever. This wasn't on my radar, but now that I've been obsessively playing BLOOBORNE, I see this and I go, this is pretty fucking cool. But what's even cooler, Stonerface says, what's a demake? A demake's kind of a word that I find annoying, but I get it. It's basically, instead of remaking a game, you're making the same game, but you're dialing it back to earlier times where the technology was what it was. So this is kind of like them theorizing and doing a demo of what that PS4 game would look like if it was made back in the day in 1996, 7, 8, 9 on the PlayStation 1. Okay, so this is a guy going through playing it. Did I finish the whole thing? No, it's just, I don't know what's taking so long. But what strikes me about this that I think is pretty fucking cool, actually, is that, and I haven't played it, but people who have played it say it's really good. But you really do get the idea, and it's a really good lesson. Like, you could almost teach a design class in this, where, I remember people talking about Ratchet & Clank Rift Apart when it came out, and people were like, you cannot do that game on anything other than a PS5. And I was just sitting there going, I mean, I know what they meant. You couldn't do the fast warping to worlds, and certainly you couldn't do all the flashy effects, blah, blah, blah. But the thing that really makes the game, which is the gameplay and the interactivity, you could absolutely do on a PS1, right? I think this is fascinating because, by all, accounts, this is a really well done game. And so if you just strip away the fact that you may not like the graphics, I just think we sometimes we get too fixated on production value and graphics and effects. No offense, Max, in this industry. And I think seeing something like this is really kind of fucking cool because it shows you don't need to break the bank to make engaging gameplay. So, what do you mean? SM says you could not do this in 96. Why? Why could you not do that? I mean, now, let's be clear. Hang on. Could you do exactly what he did here in Unreal 4? No, of course not. You would have different load times. Maybe you couldn't get the kind of fog that he's got. Okay, but you know what I'm saying. You could do a version of this. In fact, somebody in the chat, although I don't know if I agree with that, who was it? Somebody said it was Nightmare Creatures is already a demake. Yeah, Sebastian says there's already a BLOOBORNE demake on PS1. It's Nightmare Creatures. I don't remember that being as hard, but I do remember that game. It was pretty cool. But no, this is absolutely, we had games like this. We had Medieval. We had Nightmare Creatures. There's absolutely no reason we couldn't get this back in the PS days. Certainly you couldn't get the exact one-to-one, but that's because they're working on Unreal. Brandon says, Jaffe, how was your day? My day was pretty fucking good. The cleaning lady came, which makes me always very happy because I hate cleaning. And we watched Ghostwire. I got some information on that, did a little editing, played some BLOOBORNE, hung out with my spawn a little bit. I had a good day. How about you, sir? Jaffe, why aren't you playing Pokemon Legends Arceus? I will eventually, maybe. I've been meaning to, but there's so much to play, man. You gotta fucking choose, man. Resident Evil 1 was on PS1, right. Jaffe, I played this. It was great, says CR3D. The creator actually took note of all the limitations involving breaking up the level with short loading times. Yeah, that's awesome. I definitely want to play it, but I want to get my fill of the original right now, which is what I'm doing. Do you remember Shadow Man? I do. In fact, there was a remaster, not a remake, but a remaster just came out. Oddly enough, I mean, it hasn't gotten brilliant reviews. It was nominated at the New York Game Awards the other night for the best remake of the year. It didn't win. But yeah, I remember it. And in fact, when we designed Twisted Metal Black, I was looking at a lot of art from that game as inspiration because I thought that it was really evocative of sort of a mood that we were going for in Twisted Metal Black. Okay. I remember seeing the ads in EGM for Shadow Man. It brings back memories. Yeah. I almost bought it the other day. And then I was just like, the reviews have been like, it's good, but it, doesn't hold up all that much in terms of a game. It was a comic book as well, Henry. Okay. So there you go. But yeah, so I haven't played it, but I plan on it. That is, but hey, man, 100,000 downloads. Maybe now the other comment here that we got from our fine fellow who asked this question about this game, he says, this is from Quarsima. He says, thoughts on Bloodborne. We did that, but he says, is Sony missing the boat? I don't know what you mean by that comment. Like, are they missing the boat? I mean, what I will tell you is, here's what I'll tell you. Are they missing the boat? There's, I don't know if it's the boat, but there's a boat, right? Why not reach out to this guy, toss him some ducats and say, hey, make this for a launch title on Spartacus, or make this the March release on Spartacus, right? I mean, the fact that, yeah, you're not going to sell as many copies of this as Gran Turismo, I get it. But I talk about this almost every stream. We're not going to get into it much today, but, you got to protect the churn. You got to keep people from unsubscribing. And so the fact that this game, within less than a day, has 100,000 units, and it was made by one dude, it probably cost nothing. I mean, it cost something, but not much. I think goes to show you that, the industry and the fans have grown enough and come far enough with the history and the legacy of these fucking games that there's a lot of things you can do that are still very commercial and could keep people from churning out of your subscription system, whether it's Game Pass, whether it's Spartacus, that doesn't cost that much that fans would really like. So I'm telling you, I'm a fan. I like it. Sony could make demakes of a bunch of their games, right? Absolutely. Jaffe, this is actually a good point to be observed about game design. It's not so much graphics have improved, but the actual design ethos has evolved. Yeah, this is a great test case if you're studying design, because there are things in here that are nothing more than numbers, how things are tuned, that make this game fresh and interesting and unique. Whereas if this game would have come out in 96, the design aesthetic of the time, it would have probably played more like medieval. I mean, I don't know if Miyazaki would have wanted that, but I absolutely agree. Even as simple as this, you're still getting a compelling game because of the way it's tuned. So there you go. Okay. Just Incredible says, have you seen the car changing car from, you mean the one that changes colors? Yes, I have seen it. It only goes from black to white, though, is from what I understand. All right, let me jump back in a couple of topics real quick. I just want to let you know, the other day we had John Manick, who is here tonight, I believe, sign up for God's War. We also had a fellow named the Forgotten Dumpling, or the Forgotten Dumpling. I'm in search of this human. I don't know where they are, but I need to get his address. I have a comic book I need to send him if he wants it or she wants it. But just let you know, if you're watching the Forgotten Dumpling, I'm here for you, baby. But you got to reach out to me in Discord or on my Twitter, and we'll get you squared away. All right. I want to let you know that the Cult of Calypso members and the God of War members have made their decision. Come tomorrow evening. Come Saturday at 4 o'clock. Not 4:30. I keep switching. At 4 o'clock, these are officially the two Pot and Popcorn movies. I'll tweet this out tonight or tomorrow. But you heard it here first, folks. We will be watching The Raid Redemption And then we will be watching Tokyo Gore Police. We'll put Dante's Inferno and Kick-Ass 2 on the back burner for the future vote. But this Saturday, 4 o'clock Pacific time, California time, we'll be doing Raid Redemption and Tokyo Gore Police. Jim Ryan says, that's what my wife calls me. What, she calls you the Tokyo Gore Police? I believe it. Jaffe, do you think a game should be as fun to play using blockouts with any of the art before it goes into production? Yeah, 100%. 100 goddamn percent. Let me read that again because it's so fucking important. Do you think a game should be as fun to play using blockouts without any of the art before it goes into production? Yes. And again, it's easier said than done. I've always believed it. I was much better at concepting than pure moment-to-moment designing. But if you listen to Miyamoto interviews from back in the day, he was always like, you start with abstraction. Right? If you look at something like Splatoon, which is a great example. Now, I didn't like Splatoon. I thought it was just not my cup of tea. But Splatoon started as mechanics. And then they said, hey, you know what kind of makes sense? Fuck it, let's make them squid girls and shit like that, right? But yes, absolutely. Your core moment-to-moment game loop should be able to be fun without any... Okay, let me... There's two stages of this. It should be able to be fundamentally fun without anything except blockout, right? There is something to be said that if you're making a game like a fighting game or a combat game or something that needs, or a game like Wreckfest, certainly a lot of the fun that comes from those games at a surface level are effects, particles, the crashes, the physics. And so you need to be careful if you're looking for the fun. Ideally, you would be aware that if you're making Devil May Cry and it's just very rough animation and it doesn't feel very good, you should be able to look at it and go, we know it's going to be like that. It's just not there yet because that can take months and years to get it to that point if you're starting from scratch. But the core of what it is, though, should still be mentally engaging, right? So some games should just be fun with nothing except blockout. And some games, it's your responsibility to project ahead if you know it's a game that requires some of that sense of it's so much fun to move the character and interact in the space if that comes from a lot of things that happen well into alpha, right? So, but your core theory, though, is absolutely 100% correct. Morgan Renfield, that's on my mind, I guess. They say, Jaffe, what the hell's blockout? Blockout basically just means it's like gray sheeted environments. Very simple. It can be anything. Usually, if you say blockout, you're talking about level design. But I think what he's asking about is how the level is laid out, even though there's no real art other than art that lets you see where to go next. Basic combat, basic navigation, the core loop of the game. Yeah, Morgan Webb Jacob is who I went to. My favorite hack and slash game. I don't know. I don't really know. I don't know. I mean, I would love to tell you, but I couldn't. I don't know. Something about my brain, man. I struggle with favorites, right? I don't do favorites that well. People, what are your favorite movie? Your favorite dish? I can't. I don't know how to answer those questions. There's so much good stuff about other things. I disagree, says CR3D. I think if a game can't stand on its basic fundamental vertical slice, yeah, but that's not what you're using the term either incorrectly or you're talking to someone else. Vertical slice is not a blockout. Vertical slice is the term, I want to say it was sort of coined or made popular by the Naughty Dog guys when they were talking about either Crash or Jak and Daxter, where they were saying a vertical slice is what you show a publisher and or the team that says this 10 minutes of gameplay, or Mark Cerny may have defined it, this 10 minutes of gameplay or 30 minutes or whatever, it looks the way it's going to look, it moves the way it's going to move, it plays the way it's going to play. Now that has been signed off on, we now have to spend the rest of development making the rest of the stuff that surrounds the vertical slice. That's not a blockout. That's yes, by the time you get to vertical slice, if your game is not fun, you should have abandoned it a long time ago. A long time ago. Morgan, I'm changing your gender and your name because you got a weird name. It's not Morgan, it's Morrigan, right? And Morrigan, I don't know what your gender is. I'm not assuming. I don't know. That's why I always say they, because, I mean, A, it's not my business. I don't really care. and B, I assume it's like, there you go. Jaffe, do you find Half-Life 1 design a classical masterpiece that defined games years later? Yeah, absolutely, Dennis. I don't think, though, Dennis, that Half-Life 1, I don't think it was the only game that was trying what they were trying at the time, but they were the first game to really show on a consistent level that you can do storytelling during the game itself. And that you don't have to break things up with cutscenes, and that sense of immersion, I think, absolutely came, and infused other people's thinking of what games could be because of Half-Life 1. Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, Raiders is my favorite movie, but other than that, I can't really help you. I don't know. All right. Let's talk about this real quick. This is interesting to me. First off, I'm not a big Call of Duty guy. Okay, I'm not a Call of Duty fella, multiplayer, but I do very much enjoy the campaigns. I enjoy the Call of Duty ones, and I even sometimes enjoy the Battlefield campaigns. But what I'll say is, this year I didn't even touch it because I heard the Vanguard campaign was just kind of okay, whatever. And I really enjoyed the last couple of campaigns. So here's some news coming out. Infinity Ward, which are the guys who really created it, well, Respawn, but you know what I mean. They're the ones, it was Infinity Ward. That was the name of the company, and I imagine they still have some of the old blood there, but they are developing the new Call of Duty 2022. This was revealed on the call from Activision where they're doing their earnings, which we'll talk about briefly in just a moment. What interests me about this one, though, I'll tell you, it says, the weird part is they're saying, leaks previously suggested the next Call of Duty is a Modern Warfare sequel, which is great. I think it's most people's favorite. And that 11 studios are hard at work on it. I really do hope now that these guys are probably going to become a Microsoft company that they get off this yearly bullshit. So those 11 studios can break up and go off and make other things than just Call of Duty. But I digress. Toys for Bob, please, and more Crash. As far as features, this is interesting to me. Activision says they're working on, there's a quote, they're working on the most ambitious plan in franchise history with industry-leading innovation in a broadly appealing franchise setting. Whatever. Don't care. Because there's nothing in those words. If you can just string words together that were made up of made-up words, and you'd have as much information there and value there, okay? But what is interesting to me about this is that the rumor is the new Call of Duty is going to be about fighting Colombian drug cartels, which I think is awesome. I know that the EA Battlefield Hardline was kind of about that, or maybe all about that. I barely played it. But the idea of going up against like modern American soldiers or worldwide soldiers going up against the sort of vicious, awful drug cartels, that's pretty fucking cool. That's pretty fucking cool. I don't know, the drug cartels have this sort of mythos. They're really fucking scary. Like, you don't want to fuck with them. And so I don't know if this is smart or not. I don't care. It sounds goddamn great. It sounds like a lot of fucking fun. Hello, Leo. Good to see you, buddy. That is an interesting take, Doug. That is an interesting take, and Activision would never touch it, but I love it. Call of Duty Red State versus Blue State. My God, man. I would play the fuck out of that. I would play the fuck out of that game. How depressing and awful, but how cool. Dan says cartels are so cliche. I don't think they're cliche. I don't think they're cliche in the Call of Duty universe, and not really even the Battlefield universe, are they? Jaffe, you ever check out the game Escape from Tarkov? I know what it is, but I have not checked it out. Why with such manpower can they not put out a full-fledged campaign? It's not like they have to figure out a new gameplay loop. They can, Nick Wiley. They are. They're doing it. I mean, when you say full-fledged campaign, I don't know if you mean like, at the level of Naughty Dog. I mean, because those things take 4, 5, 6 years. But anyway, Call of Duty equals Fast and the Furious, says Jacob. Both started as realistic movies and went batshit crazy. Yeah, I fucking love it. I'm a fan of this shit. So I'm excited about this. Let me bring in Professor Goo real quick, and then I want to tell you about some of Activision's numbers, though, because I would like to know what you guys think. I'm not one of these YouTube fellas that's like, what do you think? Put it in the comments. I mean, I'm interested if you put it in the comments, but I genuinely, when I ask you what you think, I don't fucking know. I don't know about these numbers from Activision, but let me bring in Goo first. Professor Goo.
Good evening.
Are you really a professor? And if so, what are you a professor of?
My friends, we used to say that it was zoology. It's just a way of life.
Yeah, I've already gotten bored. What do you want to talk about, Professor Goo? Go.
I'm sorry. There was just two parts. You actually didn't get to it yet, but the Switch, like the highest sales, is it gonna ever top the PS2?
Yep.
That I don't know if you want to like bring that up now or wait until you actually.
Are you one of the people that are going to call in and tell me it's a handheld? It doesn't count.
No, I'm not going to say that. I don't.
Okay, well, give me what you want to say, then we'll bring it back around, good sir, Professor Goo, once we get to it.
Okay. I don't think that mathematically they're going to actually have enough sales or enough units. Like if they're talking just the Nintendo Switch, I don't think there's actually going to be enough because last year the chip that they use, it's called the Tegra S1. They NVIDIA, or I think it's AMD, one of those two, they stopped production of it, and so Nintendo ordered 30 million of those units of those chips. So I don't know if they're going to actually have them. It was when they ordered it, it was like 75 million is what Nintendo was at. I'm assuming that they already had like maybe 25 million prior to that. So maybe if we're saying like right now is when their 30 million units, there's 30 million chips are added.
What was you had 2 points, correct?
Well, yeah, the second
What was
point,
the second one? Because the first one, I may very well jump out my window because it's really boring. What's your second one?
Oh, sorry.
Don't apologize. And look, anybody who calls it, I'm just fucking around with you, but I do got to keep it moving. But I hear your first point. Yeah, what's your second point, sir?
Yeah. I actually think that Ghostwire Tokyo could be a game that goes on PSVR 2. The way it looks, it doesn't look that great.
Yeah,
I think there's a chance that it could be.
Do you think, like, you mean there's a chance, like, you think they might do that? Or you're just saying when you looked at it today in the showcase, you're like, there's no reason this couldn't be, as far as what we know about it so far, a VR title?
A mix of both. Honestly, like, at first when I saw it, I was like, honestly, that could be a VR game. And looking at the gameplay today, I was like, yeah, this doesn't look great. And I wouldn't be surprised if this was a VR game. Maybe it's just my bias against first-person games. I don't have a bias. It's just I can't really play them that as much as third-person games. Or like,
yeah, I mean, obviously, you think they would have announced it. But that said, and we'll talk about that, and we'll talk about VR in a little bit and how it's selling. But, I mean, yeah, that could be cool. Certainly it would make me a little more interested than I am now. If they said this was not coming from, what is the studio called? It's a weird name. Tango Gameworks. If they said it was not coming from Tango Gameworks and from Mikami, this would probably not even be on my fucking radar after today. Today wasn't bad, but it didn't make you go, oh my god, this is enough to take me away from probably shit I will have bought in February that I'll still be playing in March when it comes out. Thank you for the call, buddy. Call back anytime. I appreciate it, Professor.
Oh, by the way, it's actually $60. The game is $60.
Oh, the game is $60. Okay, fair enough. Yeah. All right, thanks, buddy. I appreciate it. There he goes, Professor Goo off into the evening. Dennis, thank you, buddy. Dennis says, Russians in Call of Duty is the most cliche thing. I love the mission, no Russian, but this time missions like that no longer possible due to controversy. Maybe. I don't know. We'll see what happens. But ultimately, I think that, I'm excited about the drug cartel angle. I think that's, for that particular franchise, I don't know. I like seeing high-tech weapons and all this gear and stuff going up against more of a group like the drug cartels. I think it's kind of cool. Somebody asked me real quick, which is really fucking funny. It's Babyface Dewey, of course, the troll, who's not a very good one, but this was an interesting comment. He says, Jaffe, you love to call out sexual harassment in the workplace. Your beloved liberal media, CNN, is getting so much heat. It's awfully funny you haven't said anything. Well, first of all, I don't really watch CNN. I don't like Jeff Zucker. I think he's a weird fucking human who runs CNN, who just resigned. And I usually tend to watch MSNBC over CNN. But that said, though, this is not a show about that. I mean, if I do a political show, I could talk about it, but ultimately, it wasn't sexual harassment. Him and this woman that worked there were in a consenting relationship, as I understand it. And in investigating, I think it was the brother of the mayor of New York who got fired. I think that's who they were investigating. It came out that he was in this relationship and he didn't disclose it, and that was company policy. And so he says, okay, I fucked up, I'm resigning. That's not sexual harassment, just so you know. Rocket, where are we posting questions? Right here, baby. Right here, baby. Jaffe, I'm so happy to be a member. I'm happy you are as well, Master Luke, with you, but I know there are other members that haven't gotten a spin of the wheel that would appreciate one more than I. There are no, yeah, we'll get to, if you're here at the end, we'll get to that, Master Luke. Did we already spin a wheel for you? I don't think we did. We might have, though. Okay, why people think progressive and leftists are liberals. We'll talk about it later. I don't want to talk about it right now. Okay. Yeah, SM says Jaffe is, I'm not even liberal, I'm progressive, and conservatives think all liberals treat CNN like God. Yeah. Let us move on. I want to talk about this Activision, Blizzard Activision numbers today. Listen to this. This is where I want your feedback. I always want your feedback, but I have a very cynical answer, but it's probably not the right one. Activision reported earnings today with net revenues down 10% to $2.16 billion. Listen to this. While Candy Crush maker King saw a record performance for the same quarter, that was more than offset by the softness in Call of Duty dominated Activision. The World War II set Call of Duty Vanguard underperformed compared to previous year. And the publisher noted, listen to this one, lower engagement in the free-to-play Call of Duty Warzone. For the fourth quarter, Activision's segment revenues were down more than 30%. The Blizzard division likewise fell short of the 2020 holiday numbers, with segment revenues down 21%. The company did not detail where sales flagged, but Hearthstone was the only Blizzard property mentioned as growing year over year in the fourth quarter. Also, finally, Activision saw its monthly active users drop 16% to 107 million. Blizzard's monthly active users dropped 17% to 24 million. Okay. So there's kind of a couple of things, right? Now, I understand Matt B says Vanguard ruined Warzone. That's where I'm a little confused by, right? So I don't have any confusion over the fact that Warzone, that Vanguard was kind of not a flop, but it was kind of a disappointing game for a number of reasons. I know there's a lot of bugs in it, I guess, but more importantly, that particular title, the setting was played out. People said the campaign wasn't that great. And then people might not buy that because they were busy playing free-to-play Warzone. Okay, fine. But Warzone is free, right? You would think Warzone would be doing gangbusters, man. And so I don't know how much of this is, I mean, usually when they have a drop this big, they don't blame it on COVID. A lot of people can say, oh, we're down 8% from last year, but that 8% we attribute to the fact that there were more people staying home, blah, blah, blah. These numbers you're looking at like 30%, 17%, 21%. These are much bigger numbers, and nowhere in this does it talk about COVID. It doesn't really say why. My guess would be either it is maybe the Call of Duty fans canceled each other out, so maybe the number of people that pay for Warzone, but no, because then it says Activision's monthly active users still dropped 16% to 107 million. So whether they were making less money, but there were the same number of players playing Warzone or Vanguard, it wouldn't matter. I don't imagine the PR hurt them. I don't imagine the PR, right? I mean, your average person doesn't give a... You think the frat boys buying Call of Duty give a fuck about Bobby Kotick? They probably got a poster of him above their bed, and it's like, we pray to that guy every fucking night. Think about it from a hardcore Warzone player, says Sector. If you were burned out, there were other options. Right. Okay, that was the other question, like Halo. It's not like you need to continue playing to find out the next story chapter. Right. So was it that this Christmas, because Halo, is the stream still on, guys? Yeah, this. Let me know if the stream is on, fellas. I hope we have what happened last night doesn't happen now. God, what is going on? I hate certain things I got to figure out. Is the stream still going? God damn it, man. Why are some of these people saying it's not going? All right, well, I'm going to keep going. What I recommend is refresh. See what happens. Okay. Stream is lagging, says Mac. Stream ended, says that guy. Sector says it's working. All right, well, weird. Okay. SM says, no way Halo caused the drop. The game couldn't be more different, and there are 100 million PlayStation players who can't play Halo. I don't know about that. I mean, certainly you have to agree that sorry, I should be better at this job right now, but I'm thrown because I'm reading the comments, making sure everybody's fine. Okay, with the stream. Okay. The issue with Warzone, says the dude, is it's still bolted onto a Call of Duty game. They have to make a Warzone a standalone client. No, it is, isn't it? You don't have to buy a Call of Duty game to play Warzone, do you? I thought if I go right now to Activision.com, I can download Warzone. Do I have to own the game? Okay, let me deal with this technical issue really quickly. It keeps stopping. Okay, close and reopen. It should be fine. Let's see if it works. Okay. Okay. Warzone is free but old. It's not that old. And Vanguard was poorly received. I know lots of players that passed because of PR, says Master Luke. So I'm sure some did. I certainly did. But, you know, I think most people don't give a fuck about that. Okay, every once in a while. Okay. The issue, though, okay, so it looks like it's free. It's not bolted onto an old game or a game you have to buy. SM says, no way Halo caused the drop. The games couldn't be more different. Yeah, but I don't know if everybody who plays Halo is playing it because they only want the war fantasy. They probably play it because it's it's free and their friends are playing it. It's like, oh, okay, we'll play that game now. Warzone is part of Call of Duty 2019. It's not standalone. I don't know how you're using the term standalone. Can I go to Activision right now without owning any copy of Call of Duty, and can I play Warzone? Can I download it and play it? If the answer is yes, then sweet. Jacob says, honestly, a drug cartel Modern Warfare would boost sales. I'm certainly interested. Warzone will never be cool, let's be honest, says VVL. Why not? I mean, the mobile game, it said Call of Duty Mobile was a bright spot for the brand, growing net bookings for the quarter and pushing its total 2021 spending past $1 billion. So why is Warzone not cool, but Call of Duty Mobile has made over $1 billion fucking dollars? You can delete it and re-download it as a standalone. Okay, so I don't know what he means by it's bolted on. You say this channel isn't political, but you love to throw your liberal feelings first agenda into everything. Again, it's progressive, Babyface Dewey. You guys are missing that there are Apex, Fortnite, Genshin, loads of other stuff. Right, Brian, whether or not you're talking Halo or not, if you are a Call of Duty player and you go... what I'm really trying to figure out is, if you're Activision, aka Microsoft, the question becomes... What's the lesson you take from these down numbers this year? Is it that, if you're Call of Duty, do you have to lean more into simulation when it comes to Warzone? I do think the drug cartel storyline is more interesting than World War II, so certainly that will help. They're a better developer, a lot of people say, than the group that did Vanguard, which I'm Sledgehammer maybe. Modern Warfare and Call of Duty Warzone are the same game. I'm not gonna. I don't care. I don't care. What I'm saying is, it's free. It has the same value of it being free. Good sir, Matty B. Don't you fight cartels in the Ghost Recon game? Maybe, Jake. I don't know. But I'm saying that Call of Duty, going back to Modern Warfare, having an enemy that's not like, let's go back to the Middle East. Let's fight in the jungles of South America, and let's fight in, villas and cool, sexy nightclubs. I mean, not that they've never done those locations before, they have, but I think there's something kind of more interesting and fresh and exotic and relevant to going after the drug cartels, but I don't fucking know. Dennis, thank you, buddy. He says, Jeffy, download of Dying Light 2 completed. I'm off the killing zombies and smashing heads with pipes, keeping bums off. Good. Have fun, buddy. Let us know how it is. Let us know what you think. Thank you for the support. I appreciate it. Okay, Grave Doll says, I play Warzone almost every night, and the game is buggier than ever. Yeah, I have heard that, Grave, that the game is pretty fucking buggy. We need a home front style Call of Duty. Yeah, I mean, that's the other thing, right? I mean, I could have never done what they do, but I was working on a design called Heartland back in the day, which was exactly that. It was Red Dawn. I mean, Red Dawn, where whoever, China probably, invades America, or whoever they want to put in there, I think that'd be fun to do it like that. I'd fucking play that shit. Okay. Okay, good with Warzone. I want to know Tim Schafer's hot gossip. I'll get to it when I get to it, you old fuckstick. Okay, too many hackers, super buggy. Okay. All right, let us, though, I agree, let us move on. But there you go, Activision's getting a little bit of a bloody nose when it comes to the earnings report. I want to talk about, now we all know that Facebook has lost, well, let me get to the super chat because it's kind of relevant. It is relevant. Kova, one of our new members, says, Jaffe, check Discord. I saw it. Member gifting is rolling out on YouTube, and I was curious if it's available for you so I can gift away. Keep kicking ass, brother. Thank you, sir. I appreciate that. I think you would probably know right now if it's available for me. I don't know if I have to turn it on. I imagine if you go down to the little whatever the sign is to join or something, perhaps you would get that option. I can check into it, but while I'm streaming right now, I'd have to load up the stream, watch it. It'll take too long. So I love that, and I would love for you to gift away. That would be great, very appreciated. But I don't know. So Meta, which is Facebook, this is the first time ever I believe they've lost, when they did their earnings report, like a meaningful percentage of users. People are peeling off. I used to not like the Facebook politics and philosophy, but at the same time, I still used it. I barely use it now. Most of my family, which is why I connect with Facebook, now they're on, group chat on Apple. So I just fucking use that, right? I'll still go in every now and then to connect to old high school friends. But they're losing a bunch of people. But MetaQuest, which was the Oculus Quest, they quadrupled their sales in the last 3 years. MetaQuest owners are buying tons of games and apps, it says. The MetaQuest store launched in 2019. Total sales have now passed 1 billion, marking a massive growth in people buying VR software since the launch. Despite this, the division that makes the VR headsets lost $10 billion last year and only made $2 billion in revenue. Meta lost money on every Quest 2 sold, which might be why those numbers don't look good, but the company plans to invest at least $10 billion more. So again, I'm bringing this up mostly as a preamble to the next story to show that VR is, it's limping towards relevancy, but it is going to get there. I've seen enough recently in VR, less about the games, more about the social experiences, the exercising in VR. All that stuff is getting better and better and better, and it is becoming really enjoyable to be in VR with friends and have social experiences in VR. That is certainly going to be one of the killer apps, okay? So as we get into this, and I think the term metaverse is incredibly stupid to the point, and overused the point, it means nothing at this point, but let's just go with it for this story. Here we go. This story, now again, it's on the Daily Star. I like the Daily Star because I grew up and my mama liked to read the National Enquirer and Us Magazine and all the fucking crazy tabloids. I know what I'm looking at here. I'm not a fucking maroon. I get that these guys, if they tell the truth at all, it's wrapped in so much hyperbole that you couldn't even recognize it as the truth that it is. But yeah, at Max, I agree. PR, poker and VR, Poker Superstars is fucking great. Fucking awesome. I agree, though. AR is fucking awesome. I agree that as well. It's just Robbie. So here's the headline. Woman, quote, gang raped in VR metaverse. Tech advances made it feel like real life. I mean, if you're just some dude reading this who knows nothing about tech, or you're some housewife opening this up in your browser, it would scare the bejesus out of you, right? But it's so dumb. But it's also not dumb. Okay, let's talk about the story. It's a dumb story, but it's also, there is something worth talking about here, okay? So as the metaverse grows in popularity, no it isn't. No it isn't. Shut up, okay? But fine, let's keep moving. A woman has said she was virtually gang raped in the metaverse. Today in the metaverse, the cops were called out to the corner of 5th and Zuckerberg to figure out what was happening when an actual virus, it's just such dumb bullshit. Anyway, a woman has said she was virtually gang raped in the metaverse and that new technologies made it feel like real life. Come on. Nina Jane Patel, who I'm sure is a real woman that they didn't make up for this story, the vice president of research for a rival metaverse company, what could that be? Maybe you'll give us the name. Nope. Claims she was, quote, verbally and sexually harassed and even virtually gang raped by a group of men within 60 seconds of logging on to Horizon Venues, a VR world owned by Meta. If you don't know, Horizon is kind of like their attempt at the Oasis, very, very basic building blocks. All it is it's mostly VR chat, and then they'll have, like, you know, rooms you can go in and watch, like, you know, IMAX movies or sporting events or whatever. It's, you know, stupid. It will get where it's going possibly, but right now it's so basic that to act like she was in the metaverse, it was Facebook's metaverse, is just stupid. Patel said 3 to 4 male avatars with male voices essentially, but virtually gang raped my avatar. The words make no sense, but fine. 3 to 4 male avatars. What, you couldn't tell the difference? How many were there? With male voices, essentially, but virtually gang raped my avatar and took photos. As I tried to get away, they yelled, "Don't pretend you didn't love it and go rub yourself off to the photo." As I tried to get away? You mean as you did this? As you took off your headset? As you double tapped the side of your Oculus and suddenly you were out of VR? Is that what you mean? It's hard. It's hard to get away. This new technology is crazy, lady. Listen to this. She added she was not accustomed to being spoken to in such derogatory ways. Maybe back in 1996 when I was a whore. What? Sex worker. Sorry. I'm not even joking. I'm trying to get off using that word. But anyway, not accustomed to being spoken to in such derogatory ways. Maybe back in 1996, but certainly not in 2001 unless they're paying for it. Come on, Jeffy. Stop adding your own stuff. Horizon Worlds allows you to meet friends, strangers, blah, blah, blah. It also has a dark side, though, as Patel's experience shows. Horizon, it's got a safe zone, blah, blah, blah. Unfortunately, Patel said that she froze and that it happened so fast and before I could even think about putting the safety barrier in place. Virtual groping and harassment of women are problems in many online spaces, but the fact that the metaverse is in VR adds a physicality to the issue, which can make it feel more real. Virtual reality, she says, has essentially been designed so the mind and body can't differentiate virtual and digital experiences. In some capacity, my physiological and psychological response was as though it happened in reality. Look, okay, first off, what I will absolutely agree on is that harassment of everybody, and specifically women, in digital spaces is horrible. And it would not surprise me if people are going to have to give up a little bit of privacy to gain the freedoms that they're accustomed to as we move forward into all this new technology. Because there is a point where these massive billion-dollar companies that are investing in this, really, I mean, right now it's funny. But there will come a point where a company like Meta or Microsoft or Sony or whoever says we really can't afford these kinds of headlines because it's going to keep us from growing this medium to becoming all that we think it can be, which is why we're investing so much fucking money, right? So and it's also important because it's cruel and it's mean and it shouldn't happen, okay? So I'm not belittling the fact that this woman has an absolute point when it comes to she was treated terribly by some people, and that sucks and it's shitty and it kind of soured her experience, assuming it's real. Because honestly, she works at a non-named company that also is a metaverse company. Like, what's that mean? And she's also bagging on, if that's all true, she's bagging on the competition without saying who she worked. I just, there's a lot of suspects about this. Protoss says, couldn't she have turned off the game? No, man, that's the best line in this whole fucking thing. She says, as I tried to get away, like she was somehow being held down. She's literally in virtual reality. She what do you mean you tried to get away? That's the equivalent of saying the TV show scared me and I couldn't get away. Well, you could change the channel, turn it off, look away. There are options, ma'am. Max, who knows a lot about VR, spends a lot of time in VR, says, let me say this again before you even log into the metaverse. They tell you about the safe space button, and if you ever feel unsafe, press the button, it takes you out of the current world. Right, no, but she was saying she froze, Max. They address that, but she says she froze. Again, look, is there a possible world in which she actually is a real-life victim of horrible harassment, maybe even worse than just harassment? And that this triggered her, and that, yes, she of course has my sympathy, even if she wasn't, because no one deserves to be treated that way. But I take more issue with the way the article is written and what her quotes are saying, because it's like, lady, look, I went in the other day to big screen on Meta or Oculus or whatever the fuck it is, and I was watching, I was kicking around the idea that maybe I wanted to rent a 3D movie. So I was watching Kill Bill Volume 2, which I think was in 3D. I don't remember, because it was free. And I'm like, let me see how the tech works. And the tech was really cool, and it looked great. And, inevitably, this little kid, he sounded like a little kid with his voice, comes up to me and starts throwing popcorn at me and all this stuff. And so I play with him for a little bit, just like, I will fucking cut your throat, and all the shit that I do. And then I just turned him off and muted him. But, a lot of people, if they're new to it, you gotta, it's like saying, hey, welcome to Disneyland, but we have gangs from the inner city and the drug cartel roaming the streets. You'll be okay. Just don't mess with them or hit your safe. It's like, no, Disney would be like, get the fuck out of here. We want to make money off our fucking shit and people feeling safe. Let me try to defend this person, says Johnny F. The fact that this happened is super jarring. I agree. Even if you can just turn it off. The game shouldn't allow that to happen. People would be turning it off often. You're absolutely right. It needs to be dealt with in some way. I don't think the AI is ever going to be able to recognize, help, I'm being repressed, right? How in the world would that happen? I think ultimately, that's why, like I say, if you want to have options to have full body animation or if you want to have options to have actual speech versus predefined words that Facebook says are okay, you're going to have to sign in with some sort of privacy revealing shit. Not like for marketing, although inevitably they use it for that, but to make sure that if you do go in there and there is, as someone said, footage of this, it's like, we know who you are, man. You're not going to have the level of anonymity because it's going to fuck up our business model. I agree with that. Sir Nick says, this story is making me want to join the metaverse, pretend I'm a woman. You should try it. Snake Doctor says, hey, it's a fake news story beyond belief. Maybe. Jacob says, I was in VR taking a poop. No one was giving me privacy. I felt uncomfortable and asked everybody to leave because I was pooping. Everyone decided to come into my space and harass me. You were pooping in real life, is what you mean. Let's be clear. The number of people that you engage with in VR who are literally sitting on the toilet pooping, that's a lot. That's probably a lot. But yeah, I have sympathy for the woman. I'm not mocking her experience. I'm mocking the article, and I'm mocking the way she speaks in the article. Okay, there you go. That's what's happening in that world. I want to tell you one more quick thing about the metaverse. This is Jaffe University 101. This is about, I always like to tell you how to avoid PR horseshit. You probably know this, but I just want to read you one quote. We're going to move on. We're not spending NFTs. We've already spent too much time on all this bullshit. We'll talk about it when it's a thing, okay? But I do want to tell you this one quote, not because I care about the metaverse right now, but because I love pointing out hyperbolic horseshit that comes out of any industry, certainly the industry I spent over 20 years in. Epic Games invest in film animation studio with metaverse motives. Okay, fine, whatever. But here's the interesting quote. Basically, Epic Games, they've invested in an animation studio that is founded by Ratatouille and How to Train Your Dragon producer. It's called Spire Animation, okay? They've got a lot of experience with animation and movies and all that. And obviously, as you know, Unreal has a lot of experience with, not just the games and such, but the, helping movies create pipelines like The Mandalorian and things like that. Okay, TV show, whatever. But listen to this one. Listen to this piece of horse shit. Spire co-founder PJ Gunsager, that sounds about as real as the lady in VR that was raped, that said this partnership would also allow for meta distribution where, here we go, quote, hang on tight, fellas, audiences will live and interact authentically and persistently with characters and worlds without having to wait years after a movie's release. Now, if you don't know shit about shit, you would read that and go, whoa, that sounds awesome. You mean after I take my kids home from No Way Home Spider-Man, they can go into this, I think Unreal's calling it a megaverse, and they can actually hang out with Spider-Man, and he'll be like he is in the movie, and he's persistent, and it'll be a character that stands there and go, hiya, web slinger, I'm Spidey, and he goes through like 40 different comments and animations based on what you do. It would be no more advanced than talking to a fucking, robot they have at Epcot in Florida just to go, look at the state of robotics. But these guys are raising money. They're getting investment. Who believes this shit? Who the fuck believes this fucking shit? Meta is the new marketing term, says Dom. It's horrible. It's so fucking obnoxious. Snake says, I'll never use my real name online, never. Great. But then at the same time, you will probably not have all of the benefits to being online, which is totally your, it's your it's your option. Is metaverse just a new way of saying internet? No, I mean, metaverse is... What people are talking about are 3D environments that you can access on a flat screen or a cell phone, or ideally, eventually, through virtual reality, and they are. It's starting to look more and more like it's not going to be a metaverse like the Oasis. It's going to be multiple metaverses that are basically just 3D databases, and you can chat and do social things, and you can work and you can play games. And ideally, like Jason Rubin was saying the other day, the main thing they're working on right now is there might be 20 metaverses. Activision has one. There's the Megaverse. There's Walmart's, whatever. And you and your friends can jump between them without breaking up your party, and it feels more like a real space. Okay, that's kind of the gist. And they want to make it the Oasis, but they're obviously not there yet. Let's talk about the Switch. Look at this. The Switch has become Nintendo's best-selling home console. It even beat the Wii. Now, I never thought I would live in a day when I didn't even know that the Wii had beaten the NES. I was around back in the day when the NES was, you couldn't even, you call a fucking toy store and they answer, welcome to KB Toys. Nope, we don't have any more NESs. I mean, they cut you off at the pass before you could even ask the goddamn question. But the Switch leapt over the Wii, and now it's the number one Nintendo best-selling home console. One real quick question. Let me get to Kova fast. Kova says, do you feel that laws will be created to hold us accountable for bad shit in VR? That is a great, interesting, strange question that I'm sure all sorts of new law practices will spring up to answer. I don't really know. I mean, you would have to assume that that's the case, but I don't know, if you could, there are already laws that if you steal something off someone's computer by hacking into their system and you take it, that's against the law. But in terms of trolling somebody or what you did was teabagging, but to them that was sexual harassment, I think then you kind of get into a much more expensive examination of legalities, which I don't think we can answer that yet. I don't think, at least in America, because, you know, one could say, well, that's First Amendment protected. I was expressing myself in the metaverse. And the Supreme Court would say, well, did it incite violence? No. Well, then it's protected. But it's also a private company, though, right? So if you go to Disneyland and you start shouting, fuck, motherfucker, fuck, Minnie Mouse, fuck her vagina, over and over and over and over. And I've only done that twice, but boy, is it fun. You go to the top of the Swiss Family Treehouse, you shout it. It takes at least 10 minutes for the guards to get up there. You got 10 minutes of a captive audience down below. But the point is that Disneyland is a private company. They can say, well, you can go fuck yourself. You're out of here. You're lifetime banned from Disney. So I think you're going to see more of it dealt with that way. I think, though, no, I don't mean theft, but I mean like harassment and stuff like that. You'll just see people getting kicked out. Jaffe, you're kidding yourself. AI already exists. It's a matter of time before real self-aware AI exists. That is a totally useless comment. Does AI already exist? Sure. Of course. Are there chatbots that are getting better every year? Of course. Of course. Do they use machine language versus actual conversation trees? Of course. But I'm talking about when an AI, it's kind of like if you saw Jumanji, right? Who's the guy in Jumanji that comes and gets them in the Jeep or flies them around, who like introduces them to the challenge, and he only can say things an NPC can say. So you can say, how do we get home? And he'll give you the closest possible thing he can say, but it's a lot of nonsense if you actually try to engage him outside of the limits, the confines of the program. That's kind of still where we're at. And I don't think right now this company is going to suddenly fill their megaverse with all kinds of characters that you can live and be with, and they feel as authentic as they do in the movies, which is basically the quote that he said. Okay. Am I going to get the Stream Deck? No, I'm not. Steam Deck? No, I have no interest in it. It looks cool, though. Okay. Switch has become Nintendo's best-selling console. There's two sorts of notes about this. So number one, it says the Switch has sold 103.5 million units across the world, surpassing Wii, which is 101.6. 101.6. Okay, so it is now the best-selling Nintendo console ever. The company has sold 18.9 million units of Switch hardware during the current year, which represents a year-on-year decrease, so 21%. I'm assuming now because people have a choice to buy an Xbox or a PS5, that is absolutely cutting it. But, so at first I was surprised because I still don't understand the appeal of the Nintendo Switch. I don't understand. I mean, it's a nice system. I have one. I don't hate it, but there's not a lot on it that I kind of want to play. I mean, that doesn't mean anything, but I don't know why it does so fucking well. I don't know what it is about this. Like the Wii, I understood. The Wii was a revolution. It wasn't great. But for what it was, other than a couple of weird things out of Japan, like I had a Dragon Quest sword that functioned like the Wii. Other than that, the Wii was like, I never could do that before. People are saying it's because you can take it on the go. But I don't even understand that, Legends. I mean, again, just because I don't understand it doesn't mean there are over 100 million people that do understand it. But the idea of all these kids who have Switches probably have phones. Most, I mean, I don't know. Maybe it's the fact that the DS and the Game Boy and the GBA and the GBA Color and all that shit has always been huge, and the console has always been huge, and now you're basically serving the same. You're serving a combined market, the same product. So maybe that's kind of why, because it's like, look, it's a console and it's a handheld, and there's only one. It's not like they're actively supporting the 3DS anymore. So maybe it's just the fact that all of this is they're funneling that audience that used to be served by two people or two consoles into one. I get that. I get that. Because classic IPs, Mario is Japan's Mickey Mouse. Well, sure. No one would deny the power of Nintendo's IPs, of course. But it's not like they make so many of them on the Switch every year that it would merit that kind of sell-through of hardware. At least, but most people, if you go to my Switch, we played Switch the other night for game night, and all of my games have Mario on the cover. I literally own Mario Party, Mario Kart, Super Mario Odyssey. It's, exactly. It can't just be the IP, says Jake. It's a good point. The Wii U did fail. You wish Nintendo made a real home console again, Matt. But why? I mean, you basically have a home console. I never, ever, ever take my Switch out of the dock, let alone the house, the home. It is a console that's for home, is if you want it to be. For me, says Scott, I like the portability to play games while I lay down and play Doom. Yeah, no, I get the value of a portable. I just didn't know it was so valuable that it would jump up. So I guess, Scott, you're going to be looking forward to the Steam Deck as well then. And then Leo, thank you, buddy. He says, a family can buy a portable for each kid while a console is shared. Yeah, I mean, that is absolutely true, for sure. Brian King, thank you for the super chat, by the way, Leo. I appreciate that, buddy. He says, Brian King says they break too easily. I have to buy yet another one for my son. It's a bad build quality. Mine has the rubber on the sticks comes off, but that's about it so far. Kids like portable systems because they're always running around playing. I get it. I'm not knocking the value of a portable system. I'm just saying that this particular thing is right now, if you look at your screen, it is right behind the PS4. I don't think it'll ever get to the PS2. I mean, it's got to get in. Well, it might. Somebody was saying Nintendo says it's only halfway through its life cycle. So it might get up there. It only needs, 52 million, 51.x million to get the PS2. Certainly will pass the PS4. And then it's got to contend with the DS and the Game Boy. So we'll see. I want to Switch, but besides Breath of the Wild, Odyssey, and Mario Kart, there's nothing else that interests me. Yeah, I mean, that's kind of how it is a lot of people, with a lot of folks. Damn, Jaffe, just talk Nintendo. You got a ton of super chats. People love Nintendo. I love Nintendo, but Nintendo is not above criticizing. And that, that is the weird thing I have found about Nintendo fans. Out of all the fans out there, I kind of don't like a lot of these hardcore Nintendo fans because I love Nintendo. I've grown up with Nintendo, okay? But that doesn't mean they can do no wrong. It doesn't mean they don't put out games that I think are kind of shitty. But they just won't hear it. It's really it's kind of fucked up, man, mentally. Yeah, Rage, you're right. The pandemic helped a ton. If you're talking about certainly Animal Crossing and all that, or Horizon. Jaffe says, CR, Switch is about portability and the home console. It's the perfect concept for a kid who has no agency. No, I can see that. I think when you talk about them mixing the sales of their DS with the sales of their home console, it makes total sense why it's doing so well, because it's serving two markets with the same product. I get that now. You should play The Witness. It's too much. It's too puzzly, Incredible Guy, for me. It's too puzzly. Okay. DS is 154 million. Yeah. And PlayStation is 155 million. PlayStation 2. Nintendo fans are the same as Apple fans. I can tell that. I see what you mean. Okay, by the way, there's also this story, which is Nintendo has reportedly dropped possible hint about backwards compatibility for the next console, which I think makes all the sense in the world. There are even people on here speculating that it's never going to be a new Switch. It's just going to be updates to the hardware, but it's going to be like upgrading your PC. All your shit on Steam still works for the most part. So, and if they haven't come out and officially said this, people are sort of reading into some of the things they said on the call to suggest, oh, the new Switches that come next, whatever they call them, they basically said they have 98 million annual gamers in Switch. Does that factor into the next console? And Nintendo's response, basically, he says it suggested that it might hint at backwards compatibility, saying that they are going to continue to serve those 98 million. And I guess the way he phrased it in Japanese was they're going to serve them in more of a way than just simply continuing to make software. It was something that suggested maybe they'll go backwards compatibility, which is great. I think that's the future, man. I don't think you can be in this racket anymore until we start streaming everything and you're not making these things backwards compatible. Probably one of the reasons that Phil Spencer is getting a Lifetime Achievement Award at DICE next month, which was just announced today, for his contributions over 30 years working in the video game industry. He's certainly not the guy who invented backwards compatibility, but he has pushed it. I really like their IP, says Yoda, but for whatever reason, I've never actually owned a Nintendo. If they allowed easier access to their backlog of games, I'd buy one. Well, they do. You can spend like very little money and subscribe to their platform that gives you a bunch of their backlog on your Switch. Does Switch need a subscription? It does if you want to play online, but it's very cheap. It's very inexpensive. Jaffe said, Twisted Sith, you are the God of War in my heart. Thank you so much for that super chat and that nice little early Valentine gift. I appreciate it. If we ever made Valentines for God of War, we would have, you are the God of War in my heart, and your heart is in my hand. Literally. That would be great. Oh, you mean Game Pass and Spartacus? Oh, I see. Yeah, no, I don't think they have. I know they don't have. Well, they have. Yeah, they do. They have their retro catalog online that they add to every couple of months for NES, Super Nintendo. I want to say they added Virtual Boy, which seems odd, but they're always adding to it. But it's not like Game Pass in that there's day one drops for the most part, or they're building stuff, from the ground up just for that. Okay. But I don't disagree. I've played with it and I wasn't interested. Retro Catalog says D-Trucks is meh and it's not worth the price. What is Spartacus? Is that Sony thing? Yes, Inksleeve. That's what Sony is saying they're going to put out. Let us jump to big little Tim Schafer. I just want to I was joking, obviously, when I say I'm going to give him advice, but I'm going to give him advice. And I'm not really going to give him advice. I'm going to psychoanalyze the man without anybody ever asking me to do it. It just, something feels weird about this. And I'm going to share my theory. I'm going to share my theory about this particular news story right here. So, Tim Schafer says he's not interested in any Double Fine games becoming movies. Now, again, remember, Double Fine has, if you look at Costume Quest, there was a show. I want to say it was a series that was running on the Netflix. So they've been down that road. But he basically says, this is sort of an IGN, it's not sort of, it is an IGN interview. And he says, games to this day remain at the top of the genre. It's not really a genre, it's a medium. But after founding Double Fine, Schafer created experimental but just as iconic games like Psychonauts Brutal Legend. Formerly an independent studio, Microsoft purchased them. Okay. They say, in an interview with IGN, Schafer says that they've received many film proposal pitches, but were all turned down. We often get approached by people saying, hey, can we turn this into a movie? But, it's usually just a distraction, says Schafer. For Schafer, his interest and passions lie in video game development, and developing Double Fine games into film would ultimately take away from what he really enjoys doing. So the only reason I want to just kind of go, it's not as if he's ignoring the potential, but it's more he's simply uninterested in expanding beyond games. Schafer acknowledges the amount of places something like Psychonauts 2 could go, but he thinks that games are cooler than movies and TV, so it's already peaked. I guess he means movies and TV. Okay. It's probably in Double Fine's best interest, according to Game Rant, for Double Fine to just keep doing what it does best by making video games. So, the reason I don't call bullshit. I don't think Tim Schafer's lying at all. But something's weird about this, because ultimately, and we have to go beyond Full Throttle and Monkey Island and what was the Day of the Dead when they did Grim Fandango, where he was one of the pioneers of a genre. And now we're kind of dealing with a lot of Double Fine games that are their weird, cool, quirky, unique take on already existing genres. You could even argue that, was it called Headlander, where you're controlling the head and flying around, that Cartoon Network published a handful of years back? Even that was kind of like, you could play a lot of games like that without their great imagination. Same with Stacking. If you don't remember Stacking was kind of like a exploratory puzzle game, but you were playing it with Russian nesting dolls, okay? Their bread and butter, what they are brilliant at, is compelling, quirky, interesting, memorable IP creation, okay? It's not video games. I mean, that's just the goddamn honest truth. Psychonauts 2 is a absolute brilliant story and world building and characters and just weird but very clever ideas that just blow your fucking mind, almost literally, because But as a game, I mean, are people playing Psychonauts 2 and going, whoa, this is great? If you stripped out the story and the ideas that represent the story in the game, like, oh, I'm collecting repressed thoughts or memories or whatever, and you're just collecting doodads, I think it plays like a C-level platformer. Rez doesn't control that great. And it's really funny. Somebody in the chat, Legends, is bringing up Ratchet and Clank, the movie. Well, it's the opposite. Ratchet and Clank is a C. With the new one, it's like a B tier intellectual property. It's very based on things that have come before. If it wasn't a video game, Ratchet and Clank would never get any fucking traction outside of video games. But the gameplay and the art and the execution is absolutely fucking sublime. But Psychonauts, for example, has the opposite problem. It is an A-tier property. They could make a movie. They could make figures. They could do TV series. They could do comic books. And they don't want to, and I respect that. But it's clear that's where their talent lies, and yet they're sticking to making games. This company would explode. This company would be massive if they brought their same imagination and storytelling to different mediums, is all I'm saying. Or if they, I don't know, it's just weird to me that if you're Tim Schafer and you're like, nope, we're sticking to games. I'm like, but they're not great. But your IPs are second to none. They're brilliant. They're probably, if not the best, they're some of the best, top 5 in the entire industry. That's how genius y'all's consistency of turning compelling, commercial, fresh IP out is. And yet, you're going to stay on the raft that says video games, which you don't do that well. I mean, you don't make crap, you make good quality games, but comparatively speaking in this industry, if you can't be top of the food chain with your games, I don't know. That's just my thought. And I love Tim Schafer. He's a super nice guy whenever I've met him. I hope to have him on the show. I am a fan. But this doesn't make a lot of sense to me. There's more going on here. It used to drive my brother crazy when my mom was alive, because my mom would look at both of us. I didn't care. My brother didn't like it. Where she would say, she would say something like, well, I know you're thinking that. And my brother would be like, wow, it's so much easier to have you think for me. You must know everything I'm thinking. He would be a smart ass, but he was right. Well, I don't fucking know what Tim Schafer's deal is. For all I know, he's like, fuck you, Jaffe. I'm the happiest I've ever been. Go fuck yourself. I'm just saying, from the outside looking in, unsolicited advice, it's just something seems weird about this. Something seems weird about this. Brutal Legend is another one. They could have done a huge intellectual property with that. Great intellectual property. Gameplay, Imagine being so revered, says Sector, that you had carte blanche to make whatever you wanted. Wouldn't you take the deal? Only for so long. And then you start to realize, if the reason you've been revered is not what you're able to continue to create, like Psychonauts, by all reasoning, should be some massive fucking intellectual property. But it's not. VV says maybe he wants to maintain control. I can see that. I can respect that he wrote the script for all the games. He owns his IPs. Remember, well, okay, well, he doesn't anymore. Microsoft does, but certainly control, absolutely. Did he give the answer because Bungie said they want to make a movie for Destiny? I have no idea why he gave it. I'm not sure. But anyway, there you go. All right, let's talk a little bit more. I don't want to talk too much more about acquisitions, but I do want to tell you something. I do want to tell you this. This was interesting. So I guess Sony did... The board of directors goes to the Sony people and says, hey, Sony people, here's $17.X billion that you can use this financial year for acquisitions, buyouts, and buying back shares of stock. Do what you want with it. You ain't getting any more, says the board of directors. Cool. So Sony goes off, and this is how it got broken up. It was broken up by segments. So others, Sony Pictures, music, they got about 55%, and games and network services got the rest of it. So the vast majority of it goes to PlayStation, basically, okay? And out of that, they're going to invest the vast majority of it in content intellectual property, okay? So the two neat things about this is Sony has revealed that they've spent $850 billion, which is 7.4 billion yen, or $7.4 billion. That leaves about 10 billion left to purchase other things. Now, again, it's not all Sony. You've got 10 billion, and assuming that these guys want their bit, who knows what's left for PlayStation. But they got 10 billion left, okay? And apparently, there are purchases that have not been revealed yet. It says what's interesting is the 7.4 billion investment total includes deals that have not been made public yet. Sony Interactive Entertainment said this is unrelated. More acquisitions are coming. We should absolutely expect more. We have many more moves to make. So those two things were said in different times. Whether or not that the deals that haven't been made public yet are video game deals, or it's Sony Pictures buying this, that, or the other, that we don't know. But what was interesting is if you look, and this is just sort of what they're worth now. It's not what they would get bought for, but it does make you go, assuming these guys even want to be bought, man, if you had 10 billion more to play with, come on, Sony, go get Capcom. Go get yourself some Capcom. Come on, Sony, I would love that. And people say, well, why would you love that, Jaffe? Why do you want this consolidation? It's fun. Because I have everything. I'm gonna play it anyway. And you get Sony's horsepower with Capcom's horsepower and creativity. You start to be able to do more interesting things and shit. Come on now, imagine, if you will, which you should. Well, they can't really get Capcom and Sega because ultimately we don't know how much of that money is for Sony, PlayStation versus all. And then, like Sector says, analysts say you need 50% more than market cap, right? So you need 8 billion or a little over 10 for Capcom, assuming they even wanted to be bought. Now, the 50% is not a legal thing. That's just sort of, I guess, a good rule of thumb, basically. But regardless, though, imagine, which you should, because it would be amazing, if Capcom got bought by Sony, and then Sony finally says, thank God, can one of your teams make a fighting game with all of our characters? And now all of our characters include the Street Fighter characters in there, the Resident Evil characters, the Monster Hunter characters, the fucking Felicia, what is she from, Night Stalkers, the Onimusha, Dante. Come on, man. I would absolutely, it would be a great fighting game, and it would have some great characters. I would love it. I would not rather Tekken team do Sony Fighter. I think their Tekken is so technique based, and I think if you're going to make one of the mistakes that All Stars made was it didn't have a shallow end of the swimming pool. It was made by and for Evo players, and in that's great. But if you weren't an Evo player, it kind of wasn't as you couldn't just mash on that as easily as you could on Super Mario. What's it called Smash Bros. Right. Tone says, could they take on extra debt if they wanted to? Sure, of course. That's the. I mean, that's the funniest part about this. People act like this is their allowance and you will never get any more until the next year. And there is logic to that, but of course, companies take on debt all the time in order to do business. So sure. Fuck off, Solid Snake. Tread carefully when criticizing my tech. And let me explain something to you. By the way, I didn't criticize your tech, and I gave it a compliment. But, you know, ultimately, when I say a game is very heavily technique-based and doesn't have a shallow end of the swimming pool, that's not saying it's a bad game. I know people who love Tekken and think it's one of, if not the smartest fighting games out there. But to be fair, it is very difficult to get into Tekken. And so I think if you're going to make a big mainstream blockbuster kind of game like Sony Smash Bros., you're not going to want to make this deep technique thing as the primary thing people experience. That's all I'm fucking saying. That's all I'm fucking saying. I want to tell you one more thing, speaking of making video games. If you are interested in making video games, this trend is not slowing down. What you're starting to see... Oops, I moved the thing in the wrong place. What you're starting to see is more and more developers getting funding from...
Don't touch me there.
Venture capitalists. So it used to be if you wanted to make your game, you had to do a dog and pony all over the world, really, to hit the publishers, pitch them the game, hope that they would do it. I can't turn on my computer more. 5 times a week I turn on my computer and there's new news. Ex-Rockstar Blizzard devs get $5 million to kick off Lost Lake games. Right? It's I think a lot of this is going to be remote, but I don't know if this one's going to be remote or not. You've got a lot of key people, 3 key people. It's stupid what they say. It's like totally meaningless. The studio will be focused on unforgettable experiences that are not tied to a single platform. Whatever. Okay, they're going to be in Seattle. Suddenly, here's another one. Industry vets get $4.5 million to establish fully remote studio gardens. Journey and What Remains of Edith Finch. You may as well call this the Arty Farty Studio, which I love both those games. I'm not knocking them. But I mean, again, you don't have to go out anymore. You don't have to go out anymore to get your money from publishers. You're going to get more creative freedom. You're going to get some negatives that come with this. You're always going to be pressured to have an exit strategy when you're not ready for an exit strategy, possibly. But, you know, that's kind of neat. It's neat. As a guy who was in the industry for 20-something years, my only option was publishers. It's neat to know that if you're getting into this now, that there's money in the hills for you to go get. And it's not like 200 million. You're getting like enough to hire a small team, prove out your concept, have enough runway for a couple of years to launch as early access, and you could be off to the fucking races. Pretty fucking cool. Who's the girl in the super chat notification? Oh, that is Dakota Fanning, who was just today announced she's playing Madam Web in a new Sony Spider-Man movie. Solid Snake, thank you so much. He says, okay, crisis averted. Thank you, pal. He drops a 10 spot for me not destroying his beautiful Tekken. I'm not against Tekken. I'm just, but I appreciate it. Thank you. But you know, it don't go easy on new players, which is fine. But you know. AT&T owned Warner Brothers could just offload NetherRealm or Warner Brothers games. People talk about that a lot, probably because they were trying to sell. And in that, maybe it's on people's minds that, hey, they're willing to part with this. But I thought that got pulled back. Top Gun Zero says Dakota Johnson, not Fanning. Did I say Fanning? Dakota Johnson is way too young to be Madam Web. I guess it depends. On what the story is. But certainly if you're talking literal Madam Web in the comic, sure. An investor is like an employee that you can't fire, says VVLMM. It's true. There's good and bad that comes with it. Everyone will sell if price is right. Jaffe would probably say nice things about Tencent for $25K. No, I wouldn't. I got offered a $100 million budget. Or I was in talks to have a conversation about Tencent's $100 million budget game. They said, you can come direct. And I said, yeah, no. Jaffe, who will end up buying Mumbauer Studio? Well, I'd like to think of it as Mumbauer Studio and Nick Kononellis' studio and Tina Kalawaski's studio. I'm sure a lot of people have ownership. But that said, you're talking about That's No Moon. I don't know if they have gone public yet with where they got their funding from. So I won't speak to that. I will just say that, there's a company out there that, as they should, had a lot of faith in these folks, and they said, here's $100 million. They're either going to be the ones that ultimately snap them up, or they're going to want their money back and then some before someone else snaps them up. So, but I don't know. Do you think big publishers getting bought? Thanks, buddy. This is from Kyle. Do you think it's super chat? Do you think big pubs getting bought out now will just result in the lesser players like Devolver having room to grow? I mean, I don't think one negates the other. I think Devolver is already growing with hits like, Devolver, when I was working on games, I would call my agent and say, I love Devolver. They're great. I want to work with them. And he'd say, well, problem with Devolver is you're only going to be able to get, 400,000 to maybe their cap is like, I think it was like 10 million or 12 million. Cartoon Network, he was like, the cap is, they barely go to 1 million. Maybe I'm getting my numbers wrong, but in that range. And they've changed now because they're spending a little more money on games now because of big hits like Fall Guys, right? So they make their own successes. It doesn't matter if Sony has grown huge. Devolver is still going to, no one's going to not buy Blasphemous 2 because Activision is now owned by Microsoft. So I don't see a correlation there really. But you said no to Tencent. I would never work with Tencent. They have too many ties into the Communist Party of China. Why didn't that hot mainstream news? Well, I mean, because I haven't given it, I just talk about it on my stream. And it wasn't like I had a contract in front of me. I had somebody from Tencent in America call me and say, hey, look, you want to get back into directing games? I says, not really. I said, give me some details. He says, it's Tencent, and they're trying to get a lot of new shit happening in the West, and they're talking about like $100 million budgets, and if there's something you want to make, we'd like to have a real conversation with you about coming on to direct it. And I said, well, let me think about it. And I thought about it, and I called him back a couple days later. I says, I can't do it. I appreciate it. Thank you for thinking of me. But I can't work with a company that is that tied into China or the Communist Party. Nothing wrong with China. China's great. Yeah, Jaffe, 100 million. You could have used that to fight the CCP. They weren't giving it to me. They were saying, come direct a $100 million game, which ain't what it used to be. Sector says now the Game Pass and Sony Game Pass a thing in demand. AA Studios is going to be very high. I agree with that. Devolver's in a good place. I think, that makes a difference for sure. People that can make games that are compelling and commercial and interesting, that can be made quick enough and don't cost a lot, fill those gaps in these subscription services, which is exactly what you need. Speaking of, let me pivot to something I just thought was really interesting. Let me see if there's any more game news. We'll talk about that later. Okay, let me see. What time is it? 7:30. We've been going for about 2 hours. I'm going to find a day soon where I do a stream. It's really tough because I want to do streams that are relevant to the news that's happening during the day. But what's been happening is I've been building up this backlog of stories I definitely want to talk about that aren't like, I got to watch that. So I should just do like a stream in the next week that's like, look, if you want to really talk about the big news of the day, unless it's something massive that breaks, go somewhere else or come back later or whatever. But we're going to just talk about, I'll give you an example. There's a, Game Informer today put out their list of the most anticipated horror games of 2022. Well, that's not some great big news story, but I'd like to talk about that. There's a lot of interesting things on there, right? But, excuse me. But by the time we get to it, we're already 2.5 hours into the fucking show. And so I think what I'll do is I'll just put that into its own show. Jacob says, Jaffe, that's crazy. A lot of news articles, BS news articles, had you placed as washed up, yet you were turning down the biggest game publisher in the world. Well, I mean, first off, what does washed up mean? It's so stupid. I mean, that always pissed me off, not because I would be bothered by actually being washed up, but because it really is such a horrible way of looking at failure, and it's an epidemic in our society. And I've talked about it before, but it's just like, it's like, wow, really? Someone failed at a game even though they had had decades of hits, and now they're washed up? That's not how it works. Everything's not going to be a hit, But so that's what bothered me about it. It was more seeding that really toxic idea about what success is into the world. And I think that's just really damaging, especially to younger people that are considering getting into games or any creative medium. Fuck you, Bacon Magma. Jaffe, I love your mental attitude. In 10 to 15 years, I want to be like you. Well, why are you not like me now? What's wrong with me now? Why can't you be like me now? Jaffe, this will be a news story tomorrow. I doubt it. I don't care. I mean, whatever. Yes, Eddie T, 100%. It takes failure to learn. Of course. Of course. Do I think you're pretty enough to date my daughter? I don't know what you look like, and I would have to ask her. I'll bring her in. I'll show you a picture. Bring it. Send it. If you can send it to me in the next 5 minutes while I'm shooting the shit with the chat, I will call her in if she wants to. I'll say, hey, the chat wants to know, or this guy wants to know if he's good looking enough or whatever, that you'd be interested. And we'll see what she says. If she wants to. She may not want to. If you want to be successful, says Doug, increase your failure rate. Mission accomplished, sir. Failures lead to new big successes you could never imagine. Right. Drawn to Death led to Jaffe getting out of game dev and having fun with this channel. Absolutely. What do you mean, Rocker Matt, you joined? I don't see anything by your name. Let me see. I do know we got Matt Solano. Thank you, buddy. Matt Solano has just become a member of the Diet Soda Soldiers, I think. Here you go, Matty S. Have some pipe, buddy. And everybody, please give our newest member, Matty Solano, a nice emote of your choice. And then we are going to spin some wheels for people at this part in the show. We're going to be spinning for Matt. Rocker Matt, are you Matt Solano? Is that who you are? And then let's see. I thought we had one other one earlier. We had Josh Collingwood, if he is still on. So if you guys are here and you want to spin the wheel and see what kind of prize you get, absolutely. Look, my oldest child is 18. She's an adult. She can date whoever the fuck she wants. I would certainly advise her against dating Eric Lennon because he seems like a very... Eric's weird. He's on that fence. Sometimes he brings really good, interesting topics to the conversation, and he's a great part of our community. And other times he's just an absolute dickhead. So, Oh, Rocket, you're in too. Okay, so we've got... Okay, well, we'll spin for Rocket. Rocket's here. Who else is here? Hello, Life Reaper. Good to see you. Legend says Jaffe can't be washed up because he has a creative genius brain. Drawn to Death was too different for most people and was too soon. I agree. They weren't ready. They weren't ready. Thank you for saying that. We got Robotic Neurotic Symbolic is now a member. Here you go, baby. Boom. Suck it in. Suck it in, motherfucker. Eddie, thank you, sir. We'll let you spin the wheel. Good to have you, bud. Eddie T says Metroid Dread is about to become the best-selling game in the franchise. Sure. But that's like being the tallest short person, at a short convention. What? It's on track to sell 3 million, which for Metroid is great. But, I certainly don't think it changed. I don't think you're going to be seeing tons of Metroid because of its success. Because, all right, so we have Phantasm and Rocket. I just want to see who else. Let me write this down. And okay, hang on. Let me write all this down. 1 second. All right, we have Phantasm X. We have Rocket. And we have Robotic Neutronic. Do we see Matt Solano? And do we see Josh Collingwood? Are they here? Okay, let's see who we have. Wait, really? Pactor, Rocker Matt. Matt, you are Matt Serrano. Okay. Okay, so Rocket is different. Okay, Rocker Matt. So Pactor speculated, really, that Sony could go bankrupt or PlayStation could go bankrupt if Microsoft keeps acquiring companies. I'll have to look that up. That's interesting. Sir Nick says, imagine a hardcore Metroid Dread fanboy becomes your daughter's boyfriend. Jaffe, you'll kill him with his pipe. No, I mean, I got no problem with Metroid Dread. I just think it's poorly designed in places. Okay, Master Luke is still here. Okay, Master Luke is still here. All right. I've never really met any big authors. No. Okay, here we go. We'll start with Master Luke. All right. Let's make it big. Make it big. This does not count. This is not your spin. Because I didn't mean to click it. Hang on. I'm trying to get the... You would have won a Mad Lib song, so be grateful. It's not your spin. Where's the wheel? All right, we'll spin the wheel, fellas. Okay. Clear. Okay, here we go. Well, we'll talk about that. That's one of the new, that's leading into a news story. That's not the main news story, but we'll talk about it on that show I was telling you about. That is just more kind of back burner stuff. All right, Master Luke, this is for you, buddy. Here we go. Where's it gonna stop for Master Luke? All right, Master Luke gets shit song Mad Libs. I may or may not be too tired to do that today, but let me get it on the thing. Shit song Mad Libs. Be thinking about 4 words you want to give me to make a song just for you, Master Luke. Let us now spin for Rocker Matt Serrano. This is for you, pal. Here we go, Rocker Matt. What's he gonna get? I don't know. It is Talk to Phil Spencer. Phil Spencer is not here right now, but he will be here on the next show. So I'm going to put a note there that you have won Talk to Phil Spencer. And he's a little tired right now, so he can't come out and play. But Matt, Rocker Matt, let me know. I have it written down. I won't forget. The next time we're on the show and you want to talk to Phil Spencer, we're ready to go for you, pal. All right. I don't know if I'm going to be spending $60 on Ghostwire. The today's show was kind of like, yeah, he's busy celebrating his award, but I'll wait and see what the reviews are. Will I buy Horizon Forbidden West? Yes, I will. But I'm going to be playing Elden Ring first, though. Here we go. This next one is for Rocket. Rocket. Here we go, Rocket. What are you going to get? Rocket gets... All right. Rocket gets to smell my comics. People who are watching this are probably going, these are shit prizes. You guys are getting really unlucky today. We'll do smell my comics before we get off the air tonight. Let's do robotic or Phantasm X or Josh Collingwood. Are any of you guys here? How often do I buy games at full price anymore? Always for other systems, right? So this week alone, I bought Mario Party. Well, I had Mario Party. I downloaded it. And I bought Mario Kart 8, which I had for the Wii U, but I never had for the Switch. So... Cattlemon, when did you join, buddy? When were you a member? But yeah, I buy, and I plan on buying Elden Ring. Yeah, I did not platinum Days Gone, but I did buy it. If Tencent offered you $15 to kiss a dude, no, I would not. Not that I'm opposed to guys kissing guys, but $15? Why? What do I mean bad prizes? I mean, there are some really fucking good prizes. And then there are some shit prizes. Okay, so Cattlemon. All right, hang on. You're welcome, Rocket. You're welcome. He says, thanks for smell my comics. You got it, buddy. Cattle. Now, if anybody wins stuff and you're out of the state, just FYI, I may have to get you something else. Because I can't ship to certain places because it's staggeringly expensive. You cannot send me a design doc. No, you can't, and I don't want to read it anyway. Nako would kiss a dude for free. There you go. All right, let's do Cattlemons, and then we'll do Phantasms. Cattlemon, this is for you. Am I saying your name right? Cattlemon. Here we go. Cattlemon is going home tonight, fellas, with... Hey, look at that. The God of War 2018 Collector's Edition. And you're getting mine. It is used. I will show it to you. So the question becomes, if you don't want that game or you don't want a used game, I will spin the wheel again for you. But let me show it to you so you get an idea what we're talking about. So this is the game. Hang on, let me go big screen so you can see what I'm talking about. This is what Sony Santa Monica sent me. It's been played one time. I don't know what's in it. It's you open it. It's got like a nice kind of opening thing, and there's like a book and shit. I don't know. So if you want it, I'm happy to send it to you on Wednesday of this week coming up, or whenever the next Wednesday hits. Or if you want to spin again because you've played it or you don't want it, happy to spin again. What would you like? It's not a press kit. The game is in there. I mean, it's the actual game. This was sort of one of the... I don't know if they made this just for the team or you could buy this, but this was the one that they sent me. It's not that I don't want to help you, CR. It has more to do with, it has more to do with legal issues, and frankly, I don't want to open myself up to anything. Okay, Cattlemon is taking it. Okay, cool. Let me write it down. God of War. Okay, send me your address, but are you in America? If you're in America, I can mail it. I cannot mail it to you if you're not, because this will be really fucking expensive. What do you make of Pirate Bay? You mean like touring and shit? I think it's terrible. How much is it worth? I don't know. Happy to sign it if you want. If you don't, if you want to sell it, tell me what you want me to put on it. You're in Canada. Okay, here's what I'll tell you, Cattlemon. When Jill comes, my assistant, next week on Wednesday, I will send her to the UPS with this as well as a design document that is supposed to be going up to Canada. She's going to call me and tell me, I don't care if you sell it, you can. She'll tell me what the price is. If it's exorbitant, then I'm not going to send it. I'm telling you now. Like, I literally got a bill the other day for $240 to send a couple sheets of paper. I'm like, fuck you. No, I'm not doing it. But I'll let you spin again, or I'll get you a gift card or something like that. So I'll know on Wednesday. But it'll go off the wheel. It's yours for now, and it'll be yours. But unless you want to pay for shipping, it probably won't be that expensive because it's Canada, though. What should you do with the design document? You don't shop design documents around. I play the trumpet, or I used to. You don't shop design documents around. It doesn't work that way. Every now and then, maybe it works that way, but it's not like a script where you write a script and then you sell it and someone makes your movie, maybe. Teams don't want your design document. Yeah, hit me up in Discord. I'll hit you tonight or tomorrow with a, give me your address and name and everything. They don't want your ideas. They don't want your designs. They have their own. And so the best thing you can do if you have a design is either find a team that, you put together yourself online and do a prototype. And if it's a good prototype, go out and raise money. Or join a video game company and eventually work your way into a position where you can be one of the designers that makes those choices. But yeah, I can't. It doesn't work. I used to hope it worked that way when I was in the biz, but it doesn't. Okay, we got Phantasm and Robot Neutronic. Are you still here? And I don't know if Josh Collingwood is here yet, but okay. This one is going to be, I will later, Bacon. I'm getting real tired right now because I'm 50, like you said. Okay, this is going to go to Phantasm. Here we go. Phantasm, let's see what you get. If it lands on God of War Collector's Edition again, that we're going to spin again. I'm not going to take it off right now. It takes too much time because there's only one of those, obviously. You get to smoke the pipe. Phantasm, you get to smoke the pipe. Let me put some drugs in there. Hang on. I'm getting new pipes tomorrow to fix this one. I gotta get a new stem. Oh yeah, you get your Cult of Calypso. You can spin again. So Phantasm, do you want to smoke the pipe or do you want to spin again? Oh, you can't see the wheel. I'm sorry. Hang on. Respin. You got it, buddy. Excuse me. All right, here we go. Smell my comics. You are going to get to smell my comics, sir. All right, I'll do my smell my comic for you when we do rockets. Okay, and then we have Robotic Neutronic. This is for you, bud. Here we go. Round and round it goes. Where will it stop? Let's find out. That's what you always wanted. There you go. Okay, hang on. If you want it, or you can hand it to someone else who doesn't want it. If you don't want it, you get 2 minutes on the mic. We did this the other day. On a future show, just let me know when you want to do it. Hit me up on the Discord. I will turn over the mic to you for 2 minutes. As long as you don't break terms of service, you can say whatever the fuck you want to say. You can shill stuff. You can talk to your wife, your girlfriend, your boyfriend. You can espouse crazy philosophy. I don't care. It's whatever you want. Robotic, you're going to get 2 minutes on the mic. Let me know if you want it. Some people are not comfortable with that. And in that case, you can give it to somebody that you would like to see have 2 minutes on the mic. Okay? Yeah, Cursive Butterfly says you can't go wrong on this wheel. I don't know about that. So, Josh Collingwood, I don't know where you are. Oh, okay. Master Luke, you're Calypso too. Okay, then you can spin again if you want. Or you can keep your, God damn it, Jaffe. You can keep the Mad Lib. But if you're a Cult Calypso, you can spin again. Yeah, I add stuff to the wheel often. There's stuff I added today, but I'm never going to tell you what it is. Robotic says I will pass the mic to someone else. Okay, so when you know who you want to pass it to, if you know now, let me know. Just hit me up on Discord and say I want to give my mic time to this person. Okay, Collingwood, I don't see. So we will try to get him later. Wait. Did we do... No, Master Luke, did you want to spin again? TK421, why aren't you at your post? TK421, come on now. Yeah, you can give it to P Turtle. I don't care. Okay, Master Luke wants to spin. Here we go. Last spin of the night. Let's see what he gets. You got a Mad Libs. So you that's fate, baby. It's fate. It's fate. Jaffe, the prettiest girl I've ever seen is only 17. Am I wrong for that? I don't know. How old are you? That's Eric Lennon. There you go, Master Luke. This is going to be a good one. Think about your words. The next time we're on, I'll do you a Mad Lib. Absolutely, sir. So look, that's Gabbin' and Games, boys and girls and ladies and gentlefolk, for, where's P Turtle? Yeah, right. Hey, baby. How come?
Shot.
Oh, okay. All right. See you in a bit, Bobo. You're 24. I mean, you know. I mean, it's a little, you know, she's not legal, of course. It would be weird until she's an adult. But, you know, I mean, I've seen weirder things in an 18-year-old dating a 24-year-old. But you should probably try to find somebody a little more your age, only because there is a power dynamic. And, you know, it's, you know, unless you're just a really good person, you might want to be careful with that because she could get, you know, hurt easily because, you know, she's doesn't have the life experience you do. CR says, I was a QA guy for Microsoft, but quit the job. It was an outsourced QA. How do you break into a studio? You just call them. You find the one that you want to go work at or the ones you want to go work at. You call them, ask them if they're hiring testers, go to their website, get engaged with them with social media. You know, if they're like, we're not hiring right now, but we're always looking down the road. Yeah, you just got to go, man. You just got to bang the door until they open it. And if they don't open it, somebody will. And then maybe working at the place that opens it will let you get in the door you wanted it to begin with. Rocker Matt, the Twisted Metal Stream 2 is coming along well. I should know something in a few days. All right. That has been the Gabbin' and the Games for February 3rd, Thursday. I appreciate it, fellas. Thank you for hanging out with me, spending some time with me. Thank you for the mods that were here. I very much appreciate that as well. All the new members, all the very generous super chats, thank you as well. And just the general great conversation. I very much appreciate you guys spending a lot of your afternoon and early evening with me talking about the greatest medium in the entire world, the video games. Okay, so here's the deal. Will I be streaming Bloodborne tonight? Probably. If I do, it'll be in about an hour. So I'll send out a tweet. Otherwise, we'll see you on Friday's show. Gabbin' and Games, 5 o'clock. We'll be on time tomorrow. And then don't forget, if you're interested and you're a member, Saturday at 4 o'clock, which is Pacific time, California time, we are doing POT+Popcorn. The first movie is going to be The Raid Redemption, and the second movie is going to be Tokyo Gore Police. Okay? Hope to see you soon. Yes, Milkmaster, I totally see, I see your name right there. I see your symbol. Oh, I have it all. I have Phantasm Smells My Comic, Rocket Smells My Comic, Robot Neurotic is going to pass the mic to someone else, Rocker Matt talks to Phil Spencer, Master Luke gets a shit song, Mad Lib, Cattleman gets the God of War Collector's Edition, and Josh Collingwood, I have not heard from yet. Hopefully he will hit us up on a future stream so we can get him on the board. Okay. Fellas, I'm out. Thank you so much. I'll see you on a future stream. You guys are kind and fun, and fuck off. I don't know what that means. All right, bye, guys.